Book of Heaven, Volume 16. 24th to the 28th of February 1924. Page 102 to 106. February 24th, 1924. How the goods and the law of redemption were deposited by Jesus in the heart of His Most Holy Mother. And this is what the Church knows. In the same way, He placed the eternal law of the divine will in Luisa. Immensity of one single act done in it. I felt immersed in the divine will, and I thought to myself, who knows how many more things on His will my sweet Jesus say to other souls? If He said so many things to me, who am so unworthy and incapable, who knows how many more sublime things He will say to the others, who are good? And my adorable Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, my daughter, all the law and the goods of redemption were written by me and deposited in the heart of my dear Mama. It was fair that, being the first who lived in my will and who therefore drew me from heaven and conceived me in her womb, she know all the laws and be the depository of all the goods of redemption. And when, going out for my public life, I manifested it to the peoples, to the apostles, I did not add one comma, and not because I was unable to do so. And the apostles themselves and the whole Church have added nothing else to what I said and did when I was upon earth. The Church has added no other gospel and instituted no additional sacrament. Rather, she always turns to all that I myself did and said. It is necessary that one who has been called as first receive the depths of all that good which I want to do to all human generations. It is true that the Church has interpreted the gospel and has written much on all that I did and said, but she never departed from my source, from the origin of my teachings. The same will be with my will. I will place in you the depths of the eternal law of my will, all that is necessary so that it may be understood, and the teachings which are needed. And if the Church will develop explanations, comments, she will never depart from the origin, from the source constituted by me. And if anyone will want to depart, he will remain without light and in obscure darkness, and if he wants light, he will be forced to go back to the source, that is, to my teachings. On hearing this, I said, my sweet love, when kings constitute laws, they call their ministers as witnesses of the laws which they establish in order to place them in their hands, that they may make them public and observed by the peoples. I am not a minister, on the contrary, I am so little and incapable as to be good at nothing. And Jesus added, I am not like the kings of the earth, who deal with the great. I prefer to deal with little ones, because they are more docile and attribute nothing to themselves, but everything to my goodness. But in spite of this, I too chose one of my ministers, who would assist you in this state of yours, and as much as you begged me to free you from his daily coming, I did not listen to you, and even if you were no longer subject to fall back into that state, I will not allow that you lack his assistance. This was the reason for which you had to have one of my ministers, so that he would be aware of the law of my will, and knowing my teachings, he would be witness and depository of a law so holy, and as my faithful minister, he would make public within my Church the great good which I want to do to her by making my will known. Then, I remained so immersed in the divine will that I felt as if I were swimming inside an immense sea. My poor mind wandered around, and somewhere I took a drop of divine will, somewhere else another drop. And so pieces of knowledge of it poured so much into me that my capacity was unable to receive them all, and I said to myself, how great, profound, high, immense and holy is your will, O my Jesus! You want to put together all that regards it, and I, being little, drown in it. Therefore, if you want me to comprehend all that you want to make me understand, infuse it in me little by little. In this way, I will be able to manifest it to whomever you want. And Jesus, my daughter, indeed my will is immense, it contains all eternity. If you knew the good which even one single word on my will and one single act done in it by the creature contain, you would be stunned. In that act she takes heaven and earth as though in her power. My will is life of all, and flows everywhere, and together with my will she flows in every affection, in every heartbeat, in every thought and in all the rest that creatures do. She flows in every act of her Creator, in every good I do, in the light I send to the intelligence, in the forgiveness I give out, in the love I send forth, in the love I ignite, in the blessed souls I beatify, in everything. There is no good I do or point of eternity in which she does not have her little place. Oh, how dear she is to me, how inseparable I feel her from me. She is the true faithful of my will, and she never leaves it alone. Therefore, run into it, and you will find out for yourself what I am telling you. And as he was saying this, I plunged into the sea of his will, and I ran. But who can say all? I touched everything, I flew everywhere, and I found out for myself what Jesus was telling me, but I am unable to put it on paper. If Jesus wants, he will give me more capacity. For now I stop here. February 28, 1924. All the goods which God prepared and established in creation in order to give them to the creatures, are suspended, waiting for those who will return to their original order. This is what he is doing in Luisa as first. While I was praying, I felt my adorable Jesus within my interior, now praying, now suffering, and now as though working. He called me very often by name, and I said to him, Jesus, what do you want? What are you doing? It seems to me that you are very busy and that you suffer much, and while you call me, drawn by your occupations, you then forget that you have called me, and so you don't tell me anything. And Jesus, my daughter, I am so busy in you, for I am carrying out all the works of living in my will. It is necessary that I first do it in you, and as I do it, I bind all your interior within the unending light of my will, so that your little human will may be connected to it and taken at its first place, and expanding within it, it may receive all the good which the divine will wants to give to the human will. You must know that as the divinity decreed creation, it delivered all that it was to give to the creature, the gifts, the graces, the caresses, the kisses of love which it was to manifest to her. Just as it delivered the sun, the stars, the blue heavens and all the rest, so it delivered all the gifts with which it was to enrich the souls. Now, as man withdrew from the supreme will, he rejected all these goods. But the divinity did not withdraw them into itself. It left them suspended in its will, waiting for the human will to bind itself to its will and to enter into the original order created by it, so as to place in current with human nature all the gifts established by it. Therefore, all the fineness of love, the kisses, the caresses, the gifts, the communications and my innocent amusements which I was to have with Adam, had he not sinned, are suspended in my will. My will wants to unload these heaps of goods which it had established to give to creatures, and this is why I want to establish the law of living in my will, to place in force between creator and creature all these suspended goods. This is why I am working in you, to reorder your will with the divine. In this way I will be able to give start to and to place in current the many goods which until now have been suspended between creator and creature. I so much care about this reordering of the human will with the divine and that the human will live completely in it, that until I obtain this, I feel as if creation did not have its primary purpose. Besides, I created creation not because I needed it, I was more than sufficiently happy by myself. If I created it, it was because with all the goods we contained within ourselves, we wanted an amusement outside of us. This is why everything was created, and within an immense outpouring of our most pure love, we delivered this creature from our omnipotent breath, so that we might amuse ourselves with her, and she might be happy with us and with all the things we created for love of her. Now, was it not destroying our purpose that fact that the one who was to serve only to make us rejoice and to amuse ourselves together, by withdrawing from our will, served us bitterness, and by departing from us, instead of amusing himself with us, he amused himself with the things created by us and with his own passions, putting us aside? Was it not turning the whole purpose of creation upside down? Do you see, then, how necessary it is that we restore our rights and that the creature return into our womb, so that we may restart our amusements? But she must return there where man made our sorrow begin, and bind herself to our will with an indissoluble bond. She must dismiss hers, to live in ours. This is why I am working in your soul, and you, follow the work of your Jesus, who wants to place in current the gifts, the suspended graces, which are there in my will.